I've always said, being a trans woman myself, I've always supported trans women, and I like us to be treated as females. I accept we're not biological females, but we go through transition, we go through a lot to get where we are today, and I feel, and I would like to be accepted in society as a female. It's a very hard decision. At one time, I was very much in favour of trans women competing in sports. But I listened, and I work with a number of sports physiologists, and one of the guys I work with, Joe Dunbar, who I've worked with for a number of years, he sort of pointed out certain things to me. And I've listened to a Professor Ross Tucker, who does a sports scientist podcast, and previously he was also in favour of trans women taking part in women's sport. But they seem to have changed their views, and some of their views, some of the points they pointed out to me, has sort of made me think maybe it's right. Maybe certain sports should be just purely for genetic females, and there should be an open category for not just trans women, but for women who want to take part against trans women, biological women taking part against trans women.
Kelly, it just seems the physical strength advantage of that extra bone density and muscle mass is especially marked in swimming, isn't it? Because, I mean, what struck me in the report this morning, the idea that at 14, a boy at 14, the speeds of those boys at 14 are quicker in the pool than the world record-holding woman. It's extraordinary, the difference.
I've not seen that report, but, I know there's a number of reports from both sides. Look, the science world can't agree, the sports world can't agree. It's a subject that is very toxic, but it's a subject, I read an article in The Guardian at the weekend about are trans people accepted in society? And a lot more people are accepting trans people and are seeing trans women as women, trans men as men.
Yeah, and that may all be so.
No,
yeah.
Just to finish. One subject that really turned the barrel, even the ones that were very inclusive, saying, yes, trans women are women, were against trans women taking part in female sports. So it's a subject that, until there's complete, utter scientific study done about it, we're never going to know. I know in Australia at the moment, the University of Melbourne and the Institute for Health and Sports at Victoria University are doing an in-depth study, and maybe when that comes out, we will get the right decision.
No, I can go on Google now, Kelly, and I can, because I've obviously moderated conversations about this loads of times, Kelly, and I can honestly, the
cases for it and the cases against it. As I said, at the moment, I'm slightly moving that trans women should not, in certain sports, they should not compete against women. But there are sports where women compete against men. So it's very mixed.
But a lot of it depends on the strength factor. I mean, it's one thing for a jockey to be a man or a woman. It's another thing to be a weightlifter. And I think we get into difficulty.
To hold a horse.
Well, where we get into difficulty is where we sort of act as if there is no victim to this. It's a victimless conversation. There are victims. The woman who was knocked down to second place.
Victims on both sides.
Well, let me put the case. Well, you're putting the side for one set of victims. Let me put the other side, which is if you are coming second and you should have been first, but Leah Thomas wins. If the Kiwi weightlifter knocks you down to silver, those Corinthian days when it was just sport and it didn't really matter very much. It was just for the glory. That's for the birds. This is big money. Careers, livelihoods rest on going for gold.
There is no level playing field in sport. There's no such thing as a level playing field in sport. But what we've got to look at is fairness and safety in sport. They're the two things that I think must take priority. And you say about the women weightlifter in New Zealand. Where did she come? She didn't come anywhere. You talk about the swimmer in America. She only won one race. She didn't break any records by it when I last, unless she's raced since all the controversy about her.
But what do you say, Kelly? Go on.
I'm just saying it's a subject that we're never all going to agree on, and even I don't agree on it. So I mean, and I'm not a scientist, so I don't. I can only talk from talking to the people like Joe Dunbar, to Professor Ross Tucker, and as I say, they are slowly moving me to agree that yes, there should be a women's only category in sport, and there should be an open category as well.
And it's always refreshing when people are prepared to, keep an open mind and maybe change their mind, based on the facts, as you've explained, as part of your thinking on this. But there will be some people who will say, accepting totally, Kelly, what you say about the numbers being really small, and I take your point about Leo Thomas and the Kiwi weightlifter. They were probably never going to be gold medal winning Olympians. But there will be people who will say, OK, but this is the thin end of the wedge. And there'll be others.
Yeah, I agree to that. And that's why we need proper in-depth study. And we need the scientists to come together, because you've got, as you said, you can go on Google, and I've been on this since I was asked to come on your show, and I've read reports that say trans women should take part, and I've read reports that say trans women shouldn't take part. So if the science world can't agree and the medicine world can't agree, how can we as just general human beings agree?
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.